someone else is coming. We have online, right?
Yes.
We're not sure what is it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Ganavallabha Girivaradari Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajadanaranjana Brajadanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavadava Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajadanaranjana Nandana Brajadanaranjana Yamuna Tidavanachari Vanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajadanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajadanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Sri Radhe. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki, Jai Shri Shri Thai Guranga Ki, Jai Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajaka Stotra Sataji Shimari Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki, Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajaka Stotra Sataji Shimari Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki, Shri Guru Parampara Ki, Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Amala Purana Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Amala Purana Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Amala Purana Ki Jai. Vaishnava Assembly Ki Jai. All glories to Assembly devotees. All glories to Assembly devotees. All glories to Assembly devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Maybe it is necessary, it has to go, maybe you just set it off. Okay, so we continue reading. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll read from Transcendental Diary by Hari Shauri Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Nitai Dasa sent Srila Prabhupada a letter today, explaining his reasons for leaving ISKCON. Oh my Krishna. At first, Harikesha Maharaja didn't want to read the letter to Prabhupada because it was so offensive. But when Hansadutta Maharaj saw it, he insisted that it be shown so that we could hear Prabhupada's rebuttals to the points. So this afternoon, after his nap, we went to his room and sat before him. Prabhupada was grave as Harikesh read out the letter. He responded point by point, not to dictate a reply as he normally does, but simply for our benefit. Nitai began by disclaiming the authenticity of our disciplic line. He cited this is a very difficult name. I have to try to read. He recited Radharamana Charana Dasa Babaji, a contemporary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who claimed that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was never initiated by Srila Gaurkishora. It was well known that Gaurkishora never had any disciples. Prabhupada responded that Radharamanacharana Dasa Babaji was a Kanishta Adhikari whom Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had strongly criticized for advertising himself as a great preacher without his having any actual knowledge of the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Nitai went on to say that he now doubted ISKCON's teachings. They are just the opposite to or misinterpretation of what is actually in the Shastra. Ooh. As an example, he offered a quote from Chaitanya Bhagavata where Lord Chaitanya says that one cannot become one of his associates unless one chants the lack of names. Okay, one cannot become one of his associates unless one chants lack of names daily. Prabhupada's reply was practical. If you take all the so-called Goswamis, Babajis and Mahatmas in the whole of Vrindavana area together, they have not advanced Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement 1 inch. Inch, that means they didn't did much for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nitai's next point was that Srila Haridas Thakur was the Namacharya. Since he chanted 3 lakhs of names a day, we either have to imitate that or keep it as our goal. Nitai asserted that if we chant at least 1 lakh of names daily, then Krishna will automatically give us prema. But Prabhupada disagreed. He said that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta condemned the idea of sitting down and chanting in one place as merely a cheating process adopted by unscrupulous people desirous of obtaining name and fame as so-called advanced devotee. He added that the idea that Krishna will automatically give prema is karma mimamsa philosophy. Can you imagine? Krishna is not obliged to give prema to anyone, he said, no matter how many rounds they chant. Incredibly, at the end of Nimai's letter, he had this audacity and hypocrisy to tell Prabhupada that he was now going out to seek the shelter of some other great Mahatma in whom I can place greater faith. And he asked for his blessing so that I may advance more and more. Srila Prabhupada's response was very strong. You ready for it? Yes, I bless you that you shall never advance. How about that? He then dictated a telegram to be sent to all the GBCs. Please let it be known that Nitai has become a venomous serpent. Oh my God. Be careful of him. Your ever well-wisher A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Wow, very, very strong. We have to get back to that. I mean, maybe if I start speaking on this, it might go on all class. So maybe we go to Bhagavad, 35th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. 5th, right? 35. Yadi dasyasi abhimatan varan me varadotama bhutebhyastvad vrishtebhyo mrityurmabun mama pravo yadi dasyasya bhimatan varan me varadotama bhutebhyastval visrishtebhyo mrityurmabun mama pravo yadi dasyasya bhimatan varan me varadotama bhutebhyastvad visrishtebhyo mrityurmabun mama pravo yadi dasyasya bhimatan varan me varadotama Bhutebhyastvad visrishtebhyo Mrityurmabhun mama prabhu. Yadidasya bhimatman Varan me varadotama Bhutebhyastad visrishtebhyo Mrityurmabhun mama prabhu. Bhutebhyastvad visrishtebhyo Mrityurmabhun mama prabhu. Yadi, if dasyasi, you will give. Abhimatan, the desired. Varan, benedictions. Me, unto me. Varada Uttama, O best of all benedictors. Bhutibhya, from living entities. Tvat, by you. Vrishtibhya, who are created. Mrityuhu, death. Ma, not. Bhut, let there be. Mama, my. Prabhu, O my Lord. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. O my Lord, O best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. Purport. After being created from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Lord Brahma, the original created living being within the universe, created many other different types of living entities to reside in the universe. Therefore, from the beginning of creation, the living entities were born of a superior living entity. Ultimately, Krishna is the supreme living being, the father of all others. Aham bija pradapata pita. Aham bija pradapita. He is the seed-giving father of all living entities. Thus far, Hiranyakashipu has adored Lord Brahma as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and has expected to become immortal by the benediction of Lord Brahma. Now, however, having come to understand that even Lord Brahma is not immortal, because at the end of the millennium, Lord Brahma will also die. Hiranyakashipu is very carefully asking him for benedictions that will be almost as good as immortality. His first proposal is that he not be killed by any of the different forms of living entities created by Lord Brahma within this material world. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahim Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakamritam Sa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Simate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatale Satarni Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasri Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Once again, read the text. Oh my Lord, O best of the givers of benediction, if you will kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. Hare Krishna. So we have read a very amazing pastime from Transcendental Diary by Hari Shauri Prabhu. Quite shocking, yeah? Prabhupada's blessings. It is a blessing. Never advance. Otherwise, where are we advancing, right? Just like Hiranyakashipu thought also he's advancing. Receiving such a blessing isn't it advancement? Modern technology cannot give you such blessing. Nowadays, all this type of promises comes from this type of so-called benediction promises comes from the scientists. Don't worry, we will make you immortal. Don't worry, So they say, come, we'll give you blessings, come to us, trust our camp. Eventually, the living entity falls for that. All the human beings, maybe we can close down now the window, it's too much noisy. Usually living beings, living entities, or human form of life, they are, general, all the people, they don't think much of death. If you notice it, I spoke just the other day. Why? Because it's not our nature to die. In its real sense, as a living entity, as a soul, as Atma, we are not aware of stopping our existence. It's not an option for our consciousness, natural consciousness adopted by, being part of Krishna, we don't have a program of ending everything completely. We are eternal living entities. By nature, we understand nothing can end. There is no such thing like end. So therefore, we live in a world as forgetful that we in material world, and we think we will never end. Also, at least that is not so much prominent in our behavior. We just continue on enjoying. And since then, that enjoyment is also the primary nature of enjoyment is ananda, spiritual, with God. So without being discriminative in our material consciousness, in our sambandha, in our situation, we think, hey, it's the same. I meant to enjoy. Since my nature is to enjoy, Krishna is enjoying, I also, as a part of Krishna, have to enjoy. And I'm immortal also, I have to continue on all my life. I can do it, But we forget that this body, we illusion that this body is not meant for that, and there's no actual enjoyment. And we actually, Sambandha Gyan means understanding your position, that this material world is full of suffering. So Prabhupada used to say that, and people sometimes act like those animals, like goats, standing in a line to get slaughtered, And they see their fellow mate, his wife being, her head is, chopped down, and he doesn't care. He just eats the grass waiting in a line, It doesn't make big difference for him. So that doesn't come into actual, sense of thinking that, okay, I might be next, Everything I enjoyed now by this rough material senses, it might end up. Because why? Because we see, by example, people going away, people expiring, bodies expiring. And we can see we're not the same body anymore. Our body is not the same anymore. We're not, we got born as a pictures, you and my mother, being a small, completely different body, but it's gross. It has a feature to get old, because time is affecting. Time is affecting, by sunrise and sunset, it takes away from us, something we give back to. So, so this point, and Hiranyakashipu was a little more smarter person. He understood, okay, nothing can help me. He had at least that type of understanding that there's superior living entities within the universe. There's creator to the universe. He had this, he was atheist, but he had this understanding. Someone created all the living beings. He says himself in this verse, There's a creator to all living beings, all the forms of living beings. That those forms might even kill me. Hiranyakashipu agrees also. A lion might kill me, might destroy my body. And it means he might be superior to me in some ways. And there might be some superior intelligence that created the lion, right? And he goes to find out who's the creator of that living being. And he finds that Brahma at this point, you know. And he asks, okay, he's superior to me, and please bless me. That any of your creation will not harm me, So that's a little superior intelligence, way much more superior than today we have in scientists. They believe they're the only one in the universe and it has no cause, and just 100% complete envy to, unrealistic envy, just, any superior, get out of my way. It's like that. So it's a little bit difficult challenge. So anyway, the living entity is prone. Usually it's also in our psyche that we want to worship someone superior to us. If we cannot overcome them, if we cannot become greater than them, sometimes out of just envy, we start to submit and try to worship the person and, become greater than him. That's also the nature of living entities. Sometimes out of affection, living entities start to worship other living entities. But in a subtle way, actually, that's a nice way just to become more superior also, to show that it's always that ego working all the time. So Srila Prabhupada warned very often that we should not accept Guru just for fashion. That's very important. This accepting Guru just for fashion, that means that we want to be, famous, or we just want to show that, I'm greater than Guru. Guru is for me. I take Guru because Guru is for me. It's Guru should serve me in that sense. Guru is the servant of me. I'm the main person, but Guru is just decoration of my picture. So that's what it means for fashion. That actually, when we take up the Diksha, when we take up the Guru, it means that we becoming servant of Guru. Guru is more important than our own being. It's more important than our own existence. At least we have to grow up to that level. In the beginning, in Kali Yuga, you will never find anyone with this type of understanding, like Prabhupada is saying also. There was one diversion from Nitai, there's some Nitai preacher or whatever. So he didn't have this understanding, and no one has this. This all culture, Vedic understanding, teacher, disciple, and all the etiquette, everything is just being vanished from the surface of a globe. It's being destroyed. Therefore, it's not surprising that gurus take give initiation to monkeys, monkey-like people. We just don't know anything about spiritual life. And occasions like this, Nitai, what his name was, it was quite often. Prabhupada dealt with. They had at the time, hippies had extremely many ideas, much of ideas of what is spiritual life, that chanting is most important, and starting to adopt Nirjal Bhajan, chanting 3 lakhs, and start reading Babaji literature or Goswami literature, so on. So it's very great warning Srila Prabhupada gives here. It's very applicable for us and today and time and place. It's the right medicine we have to hear. That in order to prove our loyalty to Srila Prabhupada, we have to take this movement as it's given by Prabhupada. And trying to overlap the instructions of spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada and overlap his teachings, and trying to invent a new bicycle. I think we should do something new in this movement. While there's a lot of files left unfulfilled, instructions of Srila Prabhupada. He left so many instructions in Bhagavatam, in his books. But without understanding that purity is the force, just staying with the instruction and trying to purify your heart in order to fulfill the instruction, that's how it comes into manifest. That's how we establish something. But else we just sometimes says, that's not possible, so let's do something else. That's too difficult, that's too not possible, let's do something else. And we try to invent some new thing, bicycle, some new preaching ideas. We think that world is changing so fast, people are changing, we should find something completely new. What even Srila Prabhupada didn't spoke in the books. Srila Prabhupada didn't stress that much. So, but there's so many problems and many files and instructions, files of instructions Prabhupada gave to steadily, rapidly establish this movement. Uh, so, Hare Krishna. The whole case of worship, that living entity, it has a tendency to start worshiping the superior to him, or the qualities he might adore in someone. Like, for example, we saw that in India someone was worshiping this, what's the name of American president, huh? American president is Trump, something Trump. Yeah, so he was doing puja, an Indian man doing puja for some powerful living entity who might give him, I don't know what he was expecting from him. Someone else worships some other living entities. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says if someone worships ancestors, which in India is prominent, always do some. So they go to their ancestors after they die. It will lead them to their ancestors. And if someone is worshipping demigods, they go to Svargalok, to demigod planet. And if someone is worshipping me, Krishna says, he attains my abode. He lives with me, eternally happy, and that's our goal. That's the ultimate goal, final destination of a living entity, to stop repeated birth and death. So here in this case, Hiranyakashipu is worshipping Lord Brahma. And this is leading him into so-called immortality, or sense of, being safe, not expecting death within material world, material consideration. No material living entity basically could kill him, so therefore Lord has to descend and give him an end, right? So in this way, Hiranyakashipu attains his constitutional position, his original form. And just recently in Krishna book, I read that when Krishna kills his demons, when Krishna killed Putana, that act had the same. It was the very same as Krishna was dealing. Mother Yashoda was dealing with Krishna, or Krishna was dealing with Mother Yashoda. Krishna's killing Putana, was the very same as Yashoda, his loving mother, dealing with Krishna. So it's Krishna is dealing with everyone in equal way. Why? Because he's absolute, and he's sometimes very fearsome behavior, or some, like when he appears as a lion, human lion, to destroy the atheist. Actually, he's dealing in actual sense. That's the very same dealing as you can say, like with Prahlad Maharaj, very affectionate. It just has a different form, but ultimately everything in connection with Krishna is Anandamaya Vyasat, is just blissful. And it's not considered in material way. For material mind, it's very difficult to understand this. So what else did I want to say? Yeah, maybe more about the Srila Prabhupada, the instruction of. There was I remember one pastime that there was some devotee also, he was preaching, and at the end, he got to know that he has a cancer. The medical people diagnosed him having a cancer, the doctors. And he brought the papers to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm ready to go to Radhakund and just chant until I leave the body, because the doctors say I cannot live more than 3 months. It's like after 3 months or so, I will be expired. I don't remember quite. It was spent that soon that I will have to go. And he said, why don't I will go to Vrindavan, to Radhakund, take Babaji and chant till I leave the body. And he did so. Prabhupada gave blessing to do that. But what happened, he went there and he saw that nothing is happening to him. He's not dying. So he checked the doctor again and he said, sorry, the files got mixed up. That was not your diagnosis. So he was completely healthy. And he was ready to die. So he was, completely fit, completely good to go back to preaching. But after all of that, no one ever saw him again. He dispersed, he disappeared from our movement, he just gone away. Yeah, no one ever saw him, Prabhupada followers. So, that's quite of a dangerous side. And many devotees had been misled in that way. Chanting gives us experience. And sometimes it might be very transcendental experience, and so on. But many devotees used to go to Srila Prabhupada by asking, can I just sit down and chant 64 rounds? Go down, just start chanting 64 rounds. Where Prabhupada first asked everyone to chant 64 rounds. When he arrived to America, he said, chant 64 rounds. And they said, not possible. So he went into 16 rounds. And then after some time, Prabhupada saw that actually in the Western world, people are very much, energetic, very rajasic, very active. You have itchy feet, very unsteady. They have to run there and do that. They do million things. The mind is variegated, multivariegated, and he wants to act in many, many ways. So he at some points he stressed that it's even giving harm to go to that level prematurely, to adopt chanting many rounds prematurely without having a proper qualification or, being steady. It's not actually favoring them. They fell into illusion that they're somewhat advanced by imitating Haridas Thakur and go to Sahajism, imitating pastime of the Lord, and something is just give a huge intoxication for a poor conditioned brain. You should know it's intoxication and it's not a joke. It is. It's just like, going crazy, something like that. So Srila Prabhupada, he gave a science that he stressed often that we should learn tattva, we should learn science first, then go to higher experiences, then try to, plan your advancement gradually. You should know a whole idea. Before going to serious dedication, we can just read all of Prabhupada books to know what it's all about, not to be diverted. If someone is studying Srila Prabhupada books thoroughly, they will never be tricked, even by Babajis or anyone else, or Vrindavan, some whatever. Because if we know the tattva, we will know what is real love for Godhead, what it's all about, And we saw many boys running also the street, intoxicated, thinking they're gopis and something, but that doesn't go really nicely with our movements or the purpose of our movements. So Prabhupada did not like this imitation, So better to adopt our nature, which is conditioned. We have to understand, we have to learn. It's Sambandha Gyan again. This is science that we have to learn how we actually conditioned in order to advance. What is our connection, being a spiritual entity with this world? What is bounding us here? What's our bound here? So when we learn that, then we know how to advance, how to make a proper practice, what actually will bring us to the point. Of course, that's given by qualified, bona fide guru, but we have to endeavor to learn this, to be convinced. Otherwise, this conception of guru not being qualified might come upon if we don't find, recognize the words of a spiritual master being a very scientific. We expect always the Uttamadhikari will deal with us in the most, with no faults. Like Srila Prabhupada was completely liberated person, He had self-realization, that of relationship with Krishna. But devotees, some devotees, they saw, okay, he sometimes uses the glasses, He sometimes uses the stick to walk. He even uses shoes to walk. He uses car to ride. Sometimes he has to take medicine. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada slept longer in the morning. How is that possible for Jagat Guru, for master of the whole universe? How is that possible? That means that there's no understanding of what is actually Nitya Siddha is. The spiritual master guru, he might have some physical disadvantages or whatever. It sometimes get ill or but his actual position is eternal. He's eternally related with Krishna. And he's empowered also, and always protected. He's always in shelter with Krishna. And if someone is in knowledge of how he's related with Krishna, he's, no matter what will happen, he's always, everything will come out as success, because Krishna himself is taking care of that person. Krishna is acting. For example, in Shastra, it said that, the pure devotee, he can buy Krishna. A pure devotee can purchase Krishna. That's the price of pure devotional service. He can purchase Krishna. And Krishna himself says, I only, can be understood by unalloyed devotional service. And also, he says that he's willing to serve such devotees. It's not our position, not something we should be aiming to meet. Oh, I want Krishna to serve me. No. You have to be completely sold out servants. But the Mayavadis think that, to be gods, to be recognized as Narayan, like Sannyasi and Nam Narayan, that's the topmost, But Prabhupada made fun of them. They said, no, it's not. It's not. He said, actually, they are foolishly trying to become God because there's something higher than God. And that's pure devotee of God, of Krishna. This is where Krishna comes in, and he blesses the devotee for his mission, which is Krishna's mission to become successful. So there's a difference of Mayavadi and devotee. The Mayavadi, he thinks he's one, and he does not perform devotional service. He does not perform devotional service. He's not devotee of Krishna. He cannot be a devotee of Krishna. He says devotional service is sentimentalism, useless sentimentalism. And devotee of Krishna, he achieves liberation. He can be considered one with Krishna because his desire is non-different from Krishna. His desire is non-different from Krishna. Therefore, he is servant of Krishna all the time. He's always immersed in Krishna, service to Krishna, in serving Krishna. So that is very important to understand. A devotee, even he becomes liberated, he can become recognized as God. Many foolish people might recognize some, power of his and claim, oh, now you're God, now start worshiping. It happened to Srila Prabhupada, you know. Some of his sannyasis, they start claiming it, Prabhupada is God. We should worship him as God. It happened. But Prabhupada got so angry. I mean, he was so angry. He was extremely angry. He threw him out of ISKCON. He said, you cannot visit any temple. He said it to Vishnuja, like very important devotee. He said, unless you open 10 centers, and then we can consider your coming back. And Prabhupada was very sure about it. He made it clear. So, in Vrindavan also there's a Premandir. I don't know if anyone. You ever heard of Premandir? Premandir. Anyway, I had the chance to stay there for a few weeks for first time, and I got to only the most richest temple just by entering Vrindavan on the Bhaktivedanta Marg. And it's a very big gorge, and many people go there. In Vrindavan, basically all the visitors, they know that temple. But how it came to be, there was one, follower of Krishna, and he became really, serious, and he had followers. And those followers started having a mystical experiences, some hallucinations. And they start saying, actually, we recognize that you're God. And what they said that, why don't we worship you as God now? And he said, well, yeah, why not? So they built it up, all the huge temple palace for him, rich, opulent, amazing place, and he's recognized as Krishna in Vrindavan, So he can go off like that. I don't know if he ever had a clue that he might be wrong, that intoxication might be heavy, strong. That usually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says that even if we get in contact with philosophy itself, we're finished. We're finished, It's only for very advanced devotees who can overcome, by understanding Tattva, Krishna, understanding Krishna in Tattva. One who knows me in truth, Krishna says. Understanding the science of Krishna. So it is needed. Then we will never be tricked by any so-called bogus leaders. And not even Hiranyakashipu can trick us.
Do you know what happened to Nitai?
Nitai.
How can it be that maybe such a advanced person, when you're always in association with devotees, how can it deviate from Srila Prabhupada?
You can deviate all the time. It happens again and again and again. It's very hard not to deviate.
But even when you have, you live with a lot of devotees, all those devotees, you have the same philosophy.
No, we should know. We should know, to get a straight philosophy, it's not cheap. It's not like everyone is speaking straight philosophy. They might, speak some words that sound like strong, but to know philosophy in actual sense, it's not like everyone knows. It's very rare that everyone is on a full accordance of philosophical line of Shastra. It means if you want to hear good philosophy, you go to a person who's really learned, who read Bhagavatam at least, 3 times. You can start hearing from it. And not even that, you have to check how much they are learned, and that intoxication is with Maya, because that's Maya is giving us intoxication and leads us into, so-called Krishna Lila, Krishna pastime. It's only a game of Maya, Maya's tolerance. So we have to, cut down relationship with Maya. Prabhupada was preparing soldiers against Maya. We said, we're fighting against Maya. You know, and the first step you make, someone might come up and he said, no, give it up, you will lose. Don't fight with Maya, it's not possible to win. In some sense it's true, but we have to be, you know, still always tricky in dealing, you know, with, because Maya is always trying to trick us, so we have to fight in a way that we can actually win over Maya. So, because Maya is the nature of spiritual world altogether, you know. But there's in spiritual world, the Maya is this assisting the pastime relationship with Krishna. It becomes favorable. It turns into favorable condition. You know, in material world is someone to pushing us away from Krishna, separating us from Krishna by giving us disappointment, by giving us, you know, illusion. But in the another side of the coin of Maya in material world is actually she's kicking us, but in the same way she's pulling us to Krishna. You know, she's giving us a hard time, but also the Maya gives us also, you know, pull back to Krishna, because we start thinking. You know, every time we have a hard time, every time we lose, every time we bankrupt of our ego, we become humble. We become humbler, and we start thinking of life. And you know, when the project is finished, you start creating another project with more experience, right? And so there's whatever doesn't kill us make us stronger. So we take another attempt with more, you know, careful mind, more planned out, and so on. And ultimately, this is how we filter our destination, our goal. We say, oh, we think, oh my God, I had this destination, I had this goal. Maya just completely kicked me in the head, I lost everything. So maybe that's not proper goal. Maybe I should look out for what's more proper. So ultimately we'll learn that most proper goal is pure, unalloyed service to Guru and Krishna. That is what Maya starts to favor us, even. Yeah, the whole material world, all the demigods, everything starts favoring that type of activity, pure devotional service to Lord Krishna. You know, this is where all the blessings come to work on a devotee of Krishna. Even if we're not pure yet, just an attempt to perform pure devotional service is success itself. Though a lot of purification is on the way, is on in a journey to there. Yeah. Maya will not allow, her duty also not allow anyone to go to Krishna with impurities. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu celebrated Shankaracharya. His teachings, he blessed, he gave a title Acharya to Shankaracharya, because his philosophy actually, you know, classifies devotees and non-devotees. Devotee is by nature devotee, real devotee. And the atheists, you know, they will be always aiming to what are the atheists aiming for? Can you answer? What it was Hiranyakashipu, what was Ravan aiming for?
He wants to be, of course, immortal, but also he wants to be in the center of everything. Because he wants to be in the center.
Yeah, basically imitating God, but he wants to enjoy like Krishna enjoys. That's the very nature of our conditioning. We want to enjoy like Krishna enjoys. So they you know, the atheists, they see, oh, Krishna is dancing with so many girls, and this, you know, his loving consort. I should, you know, I should take it over. He's the most famous, I should take it over. So the atheists, they try to imitate Krishna. or Sahajis, or, Mayavadis or whatever. That's basically the core nature. We see some enjoyment and we say, I want that. I have to be that. I want that. Everything else, how to achieve something, enjoyment in that region, all the prescriptions, we don't care. I want that right now, right here, and I'll do anything to achieve it. That's the consciousness of Ravana and Hiranyakashipu. That is actually stealing the first idea. I need to steal Radharani from Krishna. I need to steal Sita Rani from Ramachandra. And they don't care of anything else. So this Mayavad is actually, you know, putting in a classification. Okay, yeah, this philosophy for you, this is this, you take this guidances, you know. So Shankaracharya, he, gave a way to advance for, impersonalists or atheists basically. This atheists, Buddhists. He gave another step for Buddhists to, or atheists to step for their advancement. They're also advancing. But due to our extreme nature, which we're born with to enjoy, is from the very first days in our life when we're born, we get born to enjoy. And without proper guidance, we don't know how to deal with this world in proper way. We don't undergo a science of love. What is real love? What is real treatment? What is real, how to deal in actual sense with this world, with all the other people. So therefore there's, with this mentality of destructive mentality, or, is there, and it's atheistic mentality. And out of compassion, the great acharyas, to the ages, they used to descend and give the guidance to the most fallen, even to the atheists, So the Buddhists, they said, there's nothing, everything is void. So they neglected all the authority. They trusted only their, mind, or the, some. And that's quite destructive to say everything is nothing. It's just extremely destructive. And then, Shankaracharya came and gave another step, because the Buddhists, they chanted Om, which is worship of Krishna, unavoidable, worship of Krishna. They get the Sukriti by just chanting Om. And the next step is adopting, some, Vedic teaching, putting them in authority. This authority, put your attention in there, put your attention in Shastra. Though that Shastra said that, you're that person. The person you have envied so much, you're the one. Yeah. Just by tricking, now you're it, yes. But we learn that the sannyasis and the Buddhists themselves, if they adopt the pathway, they become extremely renounced. They renounce all that type of any enjoyment, external material sense gratification. So that is medicine for them, They just negate all the type of enjoyment. The Mayavadi sannyasis, the extreme renunciates, And it's helping them, because otherwise they will be, without proper vision, how to deal in this world is not so favoring. So they advance by accepting authority. And the next step is, when the Shastra comes in the line, as, explanation of Vedanta Sutta by Srimad Bhagavatam, that you're that, but also not that. You're one, but different. So there's two, there's Krishna and you. And that's where we coming into more sobriety, we coming sober out. And there's a science, called bhakti, devotional service, or loving devotional interaction with that what we're experiencing. And Krishna makes it clear that all that you experience is all, it's, Arjuna says that everything is Krishna to be known. It's only you to be known, Krishna. It's only you to be known. So all we have to learn is how Krishna is in this, everywhere, how Krishna is in this world. And what is my condition? What distracts me for understanding Krishna? What is actually not allowing me to understand Krishna? Where do I fall in Maya? Where do I, get other type of understanding? And you said something about Nimai. There's this premature understanding also that you know um, experiencing Krishna's pastime or whatever that be. Is it chanting and negating the mission, being absorbed in one sitting in one place and being absorbed in internal bhajan. That's very prominent nowadays. You see, the mission spirit is, being a little bit put it down. A lot of diversions with the Babajis also who come from Vrindavan. It's because to preach is not easy. To stay with the mission is really not easy. I mean, to become a Madhyamadhikari, that's a huge challenge. But a sincere disciple will take it up. A sincere follower of Srila Prabhupada would never decline the mission of Srila Prabhupada. It's very important. This is the whole essence. Prabhupada came and gave mission. He gave holy name, a ways out and everything, but the mission is very important also. And we can learn by Prabhupada words himself. He criticized the ones who want to just sit down and chant. He said, okay, someone can chant 64 rounds, but what can they do also? You can chant, but what else you can do? He himself gave an example, that he went to Mayapur and he was working with bricks, starting building a temple in Mayapur. There's a picture of Prabhupada sitting down by a pile of bricks and the fundaments of a building, putting on a tilak, and they all start working just externally with the elements, believe it or not, putting them together, building up a building, which is Temple of Krishna. So, you shouldn't be very much over, deluded or intoxicated to think that we should stop external activities. Just because we are afraid to go out in the street and fight with the mentality of demons. There's an easy escape because we, in Kali Yuga, basically everyone is considered Shudra, Shastra says. But now it says actually everyone is becoming woman. It's our position. Everyone, according to Vedic terms, everyone is becoming woman. You can judge it, all the men are walking with the phones, and what's on a background display of a phone is their girlfriend or some famous pop star singer lady, So their mind is always absorbed in women. It's not a joke. I mean, it's really like that. And most of our men in Kali Yuga, they completely absorbed in remembrance of thinking of woman, and that makes them a woman. They're qualified as a woman. And when you bring this type of people to mission, they don't want to fight it, They don't want to go and fight, Because we don't want to take up Arjuna's role. Krishna says, go and fight for me. That mood now, we want to find imitation of a gopi is way much better for me. That practice is, it suits me. But that's only imitation, that's illusion. Illusion. Gopi means extremely qualified. Extremely qualified. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said they're the topmost devotees. But what do they speak, We can take example from Rukmini's words it's in 10th canto. Rukmini, she was a Dvarka queen. What did she say? That So what type of woman would try to enjoy a man whose body is made of mortal, stinky flesh, full of, you know, contaminating hairs and and mucus, bile, pus, and what type of woman would try to take shelter in someone who's temporary, who cannot actually shelter anyone, who cannot shelter anyone. It's just illusion that man can shelter someone. I see in transformation. So it's still it's a very high qualification. It's very high qualification. So therefore, we shouldn't use it as an escape. To trespass the Madhyama stage, go to Uttama and imagine yourself an Uttama. We can try to imagine ourselves Uttama and jump. It's a very common thing we meet. Everything is one. It's like consider everyone is equal because that's how Uttama sees. He meets everyone in equal way. That's a golden nugget and a stone is same for him. So just relax and take everyone as equal. But then we find that devotees are there and there. One day here and the other day somewhere else. Why? Because everyone is everything is one. It's no difference. So without madhyama and this understanding, without learning to actually first to discriminate or to understand tattva, to carefully study Shastra, to carefully study how Krishna is all-pervading, how the elements are forming and they emanating from Krishna, how he is creating the universe, understanding every detail about it, or hearing from explanation from spiritual master, will make us qualified. Going through Madhyama make us qualified Uttamas. And Prabhupada said, who's the ultimate best devotee is the Uttama who goes down to Madhyama and preaches. That's the topmost devotee. Uttamadhikari who is preaching. Why would ever Uttamadhikari would try to go and change something in the material world? Why would ever he would do so? Because he has mission. He's a servant. He's serving. He wants to serve. He does not sit down and imagine your relationship with, or I'm God now. I became one with Krishna. Where's my prasadam? Where's my servants? No, not like that. It's a real servant recognized, very advanced, but doing. Prabhupada was so advanced, and he stepped into New York, Haight-Ashbury Street, in a place completely filled with really degraded, fallen people. Extremely. He had to, in the morning when he used to open up the door of his apartment, he used to see bums lying down just by his door. Drunkards and drug addicts. He used to, he had to sometimes overstep them and carefully walk through, not to be attacked. A complete Paramahamsa, aristocrat, spiritual, ambassador of spiritual world. And that's a sign that he wasn't proud, He had no pride, false pride. And he went and he gave them initiations. He initiated them, he instructed them, and he changed them, So not like, where I'm going, what is this America, what is this hippies, what are these fallen people, I'm not going to preach to them, Now Prabhupada, he changed. Everything that comes upon with the Chintamani, philosophical stone, it turns them into, Chintamani, into devotees. So all of them, they got turned to devotees. That's a sign of a real devotee. And anything comes in touch with him, they turn to devotees of Krishna. Your answer, your question was, how did Nimai?
No, I think you said it also, but I just could understand why a person's need, right? Could deviate in
Yeah, deviation, we just have to be careful not to deviate. We have to be afraid. It's all the reasons, is every morning we wake up, we have to check how much, our mind is off the track.
No, of course, but we are also lucky we live in Temple, and my mind is deviating, and I'm sitting here, and then
Even living in a temple, anywhere it can happen. Anywhere. Just recently, one sannyasi, sorry to say, it's really heartbreaking, to know. It's, in his 80s, he fell down, with his disciple. 80s, 80-year-old. That means that we can, anytime we can just, anyone can just be diverted by being not careful with your practice, with your sadhana and your mind. If we allow our mind to wander too much, anything can happen. So that's a sign, If someone claiming to be a devotee, he must carefully guard these 10 offenses of chanting, right? So if we claim to be a devotee, Prabhupada says, I don't know, we read it the other time. Prabhupada says we have to undergo the check. Maya will check us. No one can imitate, Maya will make everything, put everything, in a proper order, how it has to be. You cannot imitate much. You cannot hide anything, actually. It's not possible. So if anyone is claiming to be a devotee, that means that, I recognize myself as gold particle, the same of that, quality of Krishna, and different in quantity, small golden particles. So, but the gold, how is the gold being tested? How gold is being tested? By acid. Acid. They put a severe acid on a gold just to check if it's pure, if gold doesn't have any impurities. So gold is tested like that. So we will be tested on our path all the time, until devotees recognize he found his relationship with Krishna. He has relationship with Krishna. Then it's confirmed. Then Maya, Prabhupada says, Maya stops testing. Then Maya, allows. So, so therefore, we have to be sincerely endeavoring to become a devotee. That's our qualification. And the tests are always severe, always there and heavy. It's very difficult. The sannyasis, wants to become a sannyasi, they have to undergo very serious tests. And even if they're still not pure at that stage, they will be, humiliated by Maya. Yeah. It's difficult. It's not easy. There was in India. There's ancient tradition. So there was, I believe, Mayavadi sannyasis. They used to chant their japa behind the temples. And in India, we find there was a mystery for the Western world why some temples in India they are decorated with some naked women, depicted loving, some scenes of crazy dealings with some temples, place of worship externally decorated with there's many reasons. Some understand it as a tantric practices, but there's one explanation that is the reason behind it, just to keep the lusty people outside of a temple, because they have their interest outside in external energy. So they don't go in a temple and they stay outside to check all the images. There's one reason, but also sannyasis, some of our sannyasis, they were used to be Mayavadi sannyasis. We don't do it. And they used to be tested like that. It was a test. how do you recognize, because they sometimes yet to had a challenge to chant their japa in front of those walls of the temples, just to check their understanding, because sannyasi means learned. You have to be in science. Even seeing a naked woman, you have to see it in scientific way. If someone very advanced sees a naked woman, which might happen so. Let's be fair. In Kali Yuga, no one is. It's on every corner sometimes. But how do we see? How do we get alert into emotional, tinge, or some sensual enjoyment, and we fall down from there, or we actually recognize it just as look at it in scientific way, and bounce off the allurance of tinge, of sense enjoyment. Because that's how actually Prabhupada also said, and he said, the difference between me and you, he said that why I cannot fall down and you can fall down, because I can remain peaceful in a room surrounded of fully, naked ladies. And you will not be able to do so. He used to walk in the Louvre museum in France and look at as many naked expositions of statues and so on. And eventually he didn't hide his attention from that, and disciples got a little bit, uncomfortable. They tried to hide their vision. That showed the difference, that one who is seeing things in truth, that it's just a body, it's nothing to be very much, agitated by, seeing it as science. Why the different opposite, sex is attractive for us? It's just only because of, quite simple reasons when we study more. It's nothing to be extremely much alert about or intoxicated about. Just a physical dealing. So there's a difference. So again, Prabhupada empowered everyone. Prabhupada actually gave big empowerment for his disciples, because there was not much time to study. There was not much qualification for them becoming big students, and ultimately they had big faith, most of them, in Srila Prabhupada, and that's most important. In the Shastra's conclusion, what is that conclusion? That if one has a complete faith to Guru and Krishna, all the knowledge is automatically revealed. Everything will become clear for him. Still, that is not cheap. Faith in Guru is not cheap. We should know. We have to renounce our false ego, renounce our sense enjoyment, and sincerely endeavor in pleasing Guru. Which was Haridas Thakur? Haridas Thakur, you can say he was on that level. He had complete faith in Krishna and Guru. He didn't study Shastra. He didn't need it to study Shastra. He was chanting thoroughly all the time. He was not born Brahmana. He was low birth. Really low birth. And he didn't wear a Brahman thread. He didn't visit the temples because there was too much of problem of such person going to a temple at that time, So he avoided going to temples. What he did is he just chanted all the time. Chanted. And sometimes he used to argue with some brahmanas, pandits, and sometimes he used to speak on conclusions of a holy name. But he is not Brahmana. How can he say something? And the Brahmanas used to criticize him that, hey, you cannot, how can you speak like that? You're not learned. So they had doubts on him. But ultimately, he won. There was an incident of one Pandit and on Nama Tattva topic that even Nama Bas can give you liberation. That was Haridas Thakur's statement. And the learned Pandit, he disagreed with that, and he said, if that's true, then how was it? Anyway, it ended that the Brahmana, the other Brahmana, he got sick, because he offended Haridas Thakur, and Haridas Thakur bounced off the statement of the blasphemy of a Brahmana, and he won. But eventually he left the temples and association of Brahmanas because he didn't want these conflicts to be prominent, to happen often. He lived in a cave. He said there's too much envy. It's too much envy. So that is possible, but Prabhupada makes it clear from this pastime that it's rarely achievable. We cannot imitate that. Who can sit down and chant for 4 hours without stop? Did anyone did it? In 1 year, 2 years, anyone tried to do so? There's only 2 people sitting whom I'm asking, but usually when we meet devotees struggle to chant 16 rounds. It's a big struggle. It's a big achievement to go to 16 rounds. And usually those people who are lured in some other, movements or so on, they don't chant so much. They don't stretch japa so much, usually, sometimes. It's rarely to meet. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had another statement when he met Kinchandas Babaji. He was a new devotee, new bhakta when he joined the temple. All he did, he just chanted thoroughly all day long. He didn't do any service. Just chanting. Others started claiming he's not chanting, he's not doing service, practical, so he's just chanting. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur didn't stop him. He didn't instruct the devotees to stop, because he said, holy name is not cheap. He said, if someone is dedicated to chant 24 hours like he did, he said, that's not cheap. That's not to imitate also. But we learned that he used to induce all the others who had no such qualification to run for Krishna, use the sweat for Krishna, fight for Krishna. Go in the street, learn, and achieve that qualification someday when holy name will naturally flow. When we please Guru, he blesses us, and then the holy name always, then it flows. You just sing all the time, and people who see you, they remember holy name, they remember Krishna, and that's the topmost devotee. If someone sees you and starts chanting, that's topmost. So for most of us, it's not that easy to go to level of Haridas Thakur or some, Kirtaniya Sadahari, constant chanting, because it requires extreme humility. Really big humility. We have to become very humble. Very, very humble. Trinadapi sunichanataro revasu Ishna mani namanadina Kirtaniya Sadahari. And it's available, is a high qualification, but that's available by sincerely trying to fulfill the instructions of a Vaishnava, instructions of a spiritual master, instructions of Srila Prabhupada. If we embrace his teachings, that's humility. Even the tough ones, that's humility. Even the tough ones. To undergo struggle to preach is a tough instruction. It's not easy. Okay, we over time. I'm sorry for taking so long. It's quite nectarian topic, something to discuss more and more. But we have to finish, unless there's something to share, add, or.
I heard in Kolkata, Prabhuji, one temple is ready to give accommodation, prashadam, but we have to chant 18 hours.
18 hours, right? It's today, happening today.
They will take care of everything throughout your life.
Yes, go there. It happened the same
You
time.
have to chant 18 rounds.
18 rounds.
18 hours.
Hours, that's big qualification. But 18 hours is something.
many people, when the service comes, people say that, oh Prabhuji, I need to chant, I need to chant. So they say, hey, if you really want to chant, we are ready to give you everything, but you have to chant 18 hours per day, nothing, no service. Can you do that?
Out of that project that at that time Bhaktisiddhanta did, a few people attended, but all of them, they left. They couldn't maintain. He said, just chant 64 rounds, all day long, everything will be provided. We provide everything for you. There was not big line on that. Because it's not cheap. Chanting is just not cheap. It's just difficult. We have to agree. It's most difficult. And with all of it, it comes all the other things all together, you know. So we first, when we join, we endeavor really, we become very active just to get the external purification. It's really helpful for us. Just running there and there, just use our Raja Guna for serving in a temple and purifying the senses, and then the chanting will come in, and then we can focus more on the chanting. And when the chanting becomes solid, then we understand how to act. You know, how to perform more advanced devotional service, how to perform real devotional service, that's the topmost. That gives a more direct understanding, proper understanding. So, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Vijaya Gauranga Doyle Nitai ki jai.